Well, hello, we are live and ready to do our show for the week. We are going to be talking about proper store setup and how crucial that is to creating a perceivable, passive, profitable business. The main thing with perceivable is that you have to be able to say, yes, it's going to work. So you have to create something in your business that's going to make it possible for you to perceive that it's possible for you to make that money to live your dream life. So the first thing that has to happen is to set up your store properly. If it isn't set up properly, unfortunately, you can't perceive that your dream life is going to happen through Zazzle, because you can't set up that. You need a store that's set up properly in order for you to run your business. So we're going to start talking about that today. So what are some of the components that we need for store setup?
Proper store setup, first of all, is a working email. I know that sounds really unimportant, but you need to have a email, obviously, to set up your account. And then your store setup also includes adding your email and part of the components in the description of your store. So you want to make sure you have an email that you're checking properly, because if not, then you're not able to be contacted by Zazzle and then also by potential clients. And then second of all is that you need to have a really good store name, right? And you need to have it thought out properly, because if you're just adding a username type name, like for me, for example, my first store name was Jen Clarke 78, and that store still exists today. You can go and check it out. But I changed my store name and I actually opened up a new store because that name didn't suit with my brand and my brand vision that I was going with, and my core values, so to speak, with my brand and where I wanted to go with my Zazzle business, because it just felt very like a username. Like it wasn't professional at all. And it was just very plain and simple and something that I made up on the spot. So if you're in that situation right now, that's not a problem. You can always change or open up a new store name, but think about it very well, because you want to make sure that you're portraying professionality or professionalism to your customers, and then also that it fits with what you're selling in your store. So that's the first component. The second component is making sure that you have all of your categories sort of thought out, right? And making sure that you have things organized properly within your store so that your customer or your client can find your products properly, because you don't want to have like a huge collection of things that are all very unorganized so that your customer can't find what they're looking for.
Yes,
and
keep going with the name. Also your brand. So everything that you see on your homepage for your store has to be cohesive with whatever your name is and what you're selling. And that is a big that's very difficult for a customer to come in and understand what's going on in your store on your homepage. That's your storefront, right? That's like you walking into a department store or into any of one of your favorite shops. You know that you're in the right place because the things that the company is known for are there that you can buy. The branding is there in terms of name and name recognition, colors, aesthetics. And so if you don't have that on your store homepage to really reflect what you're selling and your brand and your vibe, then unfortunately your customer gets confused. And the most important thing is to give your customer an incredibly robust and comfortable customer journey, so that they can't get stopped at the what is this, where can I find stuff. Rather, it's like, wow, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I need to find this, and here it is. Oh my gosh, click, and it's in my cart. Let's go and let's purchase some more stuff because this other stuff looks cool too. And if you can get the customer to have that journey, then you are going to have a perceivable business, because you're going to be customers are going to be able to perceive that this is the place they need to shop, and you are going to feel very comfortable that it's perceivable for you to be able to run this business because you've got it set up properly. What are some of the other things that we teach our students that we were thinking about in terms of store setup? I think the other thing that's very important is that you can use the store setup for marketing. And I know this is where we get a little bit more complex and we can't cover that here in the show. But if you have your store set up properly and your category set up properly and your collection set up properly, then you can use those very effectively for marketing and directing the customer to certain areas in your store in terms of categories, but also how your homepage looks. And so that's something that we teach in the Profitable membership if you're interested in joining us for that. The last thing that we wanted to talk about is the perception of outside customers, because a lot of us think only in the Zazzle realm, saying that, okay, we are going to be dealing with customers who are coming in the Zazzle marketplace and they're going to click on one of our products and then they're going to see our store or they're going to check us out more. But your products are web pages. So every single one of the products that you post on Zazzle is actually a web page. And because of that, there are SEO search links that you personally are setting up with your titles and tags. And then they are something that Zazzle has feeds to out to search engines like Google. And so your product can actually be found on Google searches and anywhere else. And plus, all kinds of people are promoting your product, including you. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it's not just resting on the Zazzle marketplace. It's not just searched on the Zazzle marketplace. It's always resting in your store, but it's also integrated into the Zazzle marketplace, and it can be found on all these other search engines, mainly Google, of course. And that's very important because especially someone who's not understanding the journey of they found something that they love and now all of a sudden they're on Zazzle. But if they're in the Zazzle marketplace, they kind of know that because they came to Zazzle, now they're looking. Whereas if you're bringing someone in through one of the external links to Zazzle, they need a bit more comfort in terms of going like, what just happened? Why was I in Google? Now I'm in this place called Zazzle. What is this? And so if you can present a very professional looking storefront and brand, because each product has your name associated with it, right? In whatever view that the customer sees. So that means that there'll be some trust built up, because if the logo looks professional, if the colors look professional, if the name makes sense with the product that you're selling, all of these things are check marks where you can say, okay, the customer feels comfortable with that and that and that and that. And it creates in less than like 3 seconds, an incredible bond and trust with the customer so they can keep moving forward in purchasing that product without feeling some sort of uncertainty or unease about their buying decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to cover today in our proper store setup. Please, please, please remember that when you're setting up your store. Mm-hmm. If you've made a mistake and you are not feeling like what just happened, I didn't realize all this stuff and I already made up my store, don't worry. Don't start undoing everything or start a new store and put everything out. Like if you have 2 products, start a new store, forget it. Forget the old one, like Jen Clark 78. But if you already have a store with like hundreds or even thousands of products in it, there's some tricks. What is one of the tricks?
Well, you can create your first store. If that one's not good enough, like if that you have to change it, then create another store. Think about the store name and set it up properly with that brand recognition of the store name that your vision and you're going with. And then what you can do is you can actually set up collections. And because in collections in your store, you can actually add products from different stores to that collection. What you can do is you can create collections within your new store that actually house your products from your old store. So it actually looks like the products are on your new store and underneath that new store name, but they're actually being fed from your old store.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that Zazzle allows you to change not the URL of your store. That's permanent. That's never able to be changed or modified, but you can change the title mm-hmm. that the customer sees that's associated with your store name. That just means that there's the customer, when they look at a product, will be able to see a different store name, whatever you put in the section in the settings where you've got all the things you're doing to suit to set up your store. In that area, you can add a different name for your store. Even though it doesn't change the URL, the customer then sees that other name, and so it's more cohesive, which is cool.
And the URL for your store name is only when you go, for example, zazzle.com/store/ whatever your store name is. On the actual products, it's just your product ID. And they actually, like if a customer only comes to your product, they will only see that store name on the side, is what you mentioned.
that we just said you could fix.
Yeah.
However, if you're looking to expand, which we suggest all of you do, and look more at the bigger picture, because you're using Zazzle not just to make money, you're using Zazzle to generate a business or create a business that's going to be all encompassing, right? What if Zazzle's only one of the platforms that you use, and you want to also go to bring your name out to social media? And by making sure that all of the URLs and all of your names for your social media accounts, as well as your store and your website and anywhere else that you post your products, like if you want to go to Redbubble or anywhere else, every single one of these places should be the same name in order for you to generate that brand recognition in so many different places. And it'll help you boost your brand. Who knows, you could be the next brand name like Tommy Hilfiger or whatever else. It's just a matter of knowing that your business isn't just making a few dollars on Zazzle. It is the beginning of an incredible business that you need to take on as a professional, and therefore treat it professionally by giving yourself that credibility with the brand name and the proper store setup. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be doing these shows every Monday. This is our second edition, and we're going to keep talking about very different topics about perceivable, passive, profitable, so that you can have a profitable business like Jen and I have, where we are in the 1.5 million earnings and counting.
Yeah. We do have some questions on YouTube and on Facebook. We'll answer those afterwards, but thank you so much for joining us for our show. And yeah, we do this every Monday at 10 a.m. and we will see you next week for the Jen and Elke show. Bye. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Jen and Elke Clarke Show.
What we believe to be true is that if you build your online Zazzle business using the 3 pillars, perceivable, passive, profitable, then you can create a business that gives you your dream life.
To learn more about how we can work together, visit elkeclarke.com.